My dear brothers and sisters, there comes a moment in every human life when the heart feels tired not from effort, but from endurance. Tired of holding on, tired of hoping, tired of explaining, tired of waiting for change that never comes. And in that moment, we often ask ourselves a painful question: should I keep holding on, or should I finally let go? You see, self-respect is not loud. It does not scream. It does not argue its worth. Self-respect is quiet, dignified, and deeply rooted in the understanding that the heart was not created to be repeatedly broken. Sometimes we confuse patience with self-neglect. We tell ourselves we are being strong, when in reality, we are slowly losing ourselves. Letting go is not a sign that you failed. No. Sometimes letting go is the clearest declaration that you finally recognize your value, that you understand your heart deserves peace, that your soul was created for more than constant pain, humiliation, or disappointment. Not everything that leaves your life is a loss. Some things leave because their purpose is complete. And when you choose to let go for the sake of your self-respect, something remarkable happens. You create space, space for healing, space for growth, space for what truly belongs to you. Because what is meant for you will never require you to abandon your dignity to keep it. My dear brothers and sisters, self-respect begins at a very profound place within the heart. It begins when you understand that your worth does not come from who stays in your life, who praises you, who chooses you, or who validates you. Your worth was placed inside you long before anyone knew your name. It was placed there by the one who created you, honored you, and gave you dignity from the very beginning. So often, we tie our value to attachment. We believe that if someone loves us, we matter. If they leave, we must be unworthy. If they approve of us, we are successful. If they withdraw, we feel small. And slowly, without realizing it, we hand over our self-respect to the hands of people. People who are imperfect, people who are struggling themselves, people who may not even understand their own worth. Knowing your worth beyond attachment means realizing this simple truth. You are valuable even before anyone entered your life, and you remain valuable even if they walk away. Your value is not increased by acceptance, nor is it decreased by rejection. People may come and go, feelings may change, circumstances may shift, but your worth remains constant. When a person lacks this understanding, they cling, they tolerate disrespect, they excuse mistreatment, they stay silent when their heart is screaming. Why? Because they fear losing the attachment more than they fear losing themselves. They fear being alone more than being broken. And this is where self-respect begins to fade, not suddenly, but gradually, quietly, painfully. But when you truly know your worth, attachment changes. You no longer beg to be chosen. You no longer chase what runs from you. You no longer lower your standards to keep someone comfortable. Instead, you carry yourself with calm confidence, not arrogance, not pride, just peace. You understand that what is meant for you will meet you with respect, not confusion, with effort, not excuses, with sincerity, not repeated pain. Knowing your worth beyond attachment also teaches you how to love correctly. You love without losing yourself. You care without self-destruction. You give, but you do not bleed endlessly for people who refuse to heal. You understand that love does not require you to abandon your dignity. Love does not ask you to shrink. Love does not demand that you sacrifice your mental, emotional, or spiritual well-being just to prove loyalty. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, the hardest lesson is realizing that not everyone who is attached to you is good for you. Some attachments drain you. Some silence your voice. Some keep you stuck in cycles of disappointment. And the reason they hurt so deeply is because you allowed your worth to be tied to their presence. When that attachment breaks, it feels like losing a part of yourself. But in reality, you are reclaiming yourself. You are returning to the truth of who you are, someone worthy of peace, worthy of kindness, worthy of consistency, someone who does not need to be emotionally exhausted to be loved. Knowing your worth beyond attachment also brings patience, not the kind that tolerates abuse, but the kind that trusts timing. You stop forcing connections You stop trying to convince people of your value. You allow things to unfold naturally. Because when something is forced, it often breaks you. And when something is sincere, it strengthens you. There is great strength in saying, I care, but I will not lose myself. There is great courage in saying, I hoped, but I will not beg. There is great self-respect in saying, I tried, but I will now choose peace. This does not make you cold. It makes you conscious. And understand this well. Letting go of attachment does not mean you failed in love. It means you succeeded in self-respect. It means you finally understood that your heart is an amana, a trust, and not everyone deserves unrestricted access to it. You are responsible for protecting it. When you detach your worth from people, something beautiful happens. You become lighter, calmer, more grounded. You stop living in fear of loss because you know that nothing external defines you. What is meant for you will remain. What is not will leave, and both are part of your growth. So remind yourself again and again, my worth is not negotiable. My dignity is not dependent on attachment. I can love deeply, yet walk away peacefully. Because self-respect is not about holding on at all costs. It is about knowing when holding on costs you yourself. My dear brothers and sisters, many people believe that letting go means you gave up, that you were not strong enough to endure, that you lack patience or commitment. But this is a misunderstanding. Letting go is not weakness. In many cases, it is one of the strongest decisions a human being can ever make. It is a courageous act, an act rooted in faith, clarity, and deep self-respect. Weakness is holding on when something is destroying your peace, your values, and your sense of self. Weakness is staying in places where your heart is constantly wounded and calling it loyalty. Strength, on the other hand, is recognizing when something no longer aligns with who you are becoming and having the courage to step away, even when it hurts. Letting go requires faith. Faith that what is meant for you will never miss you. Faith that the one who created you knows what you need better than you do. Faith that when something is removed from your life, it is not always a punishment. Sometimes it is protection. Sometimes it is mercy in disguise. You see, when we hold on too tightly, we assume we know better. We believe that if we just try harder, sacrifice more, tolerate longer, things will eventually change. But faith teaches us that not everything that ends is meant to be revived. Some chapters close so that your story can continue. And accepting that requires surrender, not surrender to people, but surrender to divine wisdom. Letting go also demands dignity. Dignity is knowing when to stop explaining your pain to people who do not listen. Dignity is walking away without needing the last word. Dignity is choosing silence over arguments that steal your peace. It is understanding that you do not need to prove your suffering to justify your departure. Sometimes, brothers and sisters, we stay because we are afraid. Afraid of being alone. Afraid of judgment. Afraid of starting over. But courage is not the absence of fear, it is the decision to move forward despite it. Letting go while your heart is still attached, while your eyes still carry tears, while your chest feels heavy, that is courage. And understand this clearly, letting go does not mean you stop caring. It means you care enough about yourself to stop bleeding. It means you acknowledge that love should not require constant pain. That patience should not demand self-destruction. That faith does not ask you to remain in harm for the sake of endurance. Some of the strongest people are those who walked away quietly. They did not curse. They did not seek revenge. They did not expose or humiliate. They simply chose peace. They trusted that justice, healing, and closure do not always come from confrontation, but from distance and time. Letting go is also an act of trust in growth. You accept that you are not the same person you were before. What once felt acceptable may no longer fit. What once taught you lessons may no longer deserve a place in your future. And that is not betrayal, it is maturity. There is a difference between giving up and letting go. Giving up comes from despair. Letting go comes from wisdom. Giving up leaves you bitter. Letting go leaves you free. One breaks the spirit, the other restores it. When you let go with faith, you release resentment. You stop asking, why did this happen to me? And begin saying, what is this teaching me? You stop replaying pain and start rebuilding strength. You make space for peace, clarity, and healthier connection. And remember this, the one who sees your tears also sees your courage. Every step you take away from what harms you is a step toward healing. Every door you close with dignity opens another with hope. You may not see it immediately, but relief follows release. So do not be ashamed of letting go. Do not allow anyone to convince you that choosing your well-being is selfish or weak. Sometimes the bravest prayer is not help me hold on, but give me the strength to walk away with my faith intact and my dignity preserved. Because letting go is not losing, it is trusting. It is rising. It is choosing yourself while trusting the one who will never abandon you. My dear brothers and sisters, the heart was created to be a place of peace, sincerity, and connection. It was not designed to carry constant anxiety, repeated hurt, and silent suffering. Yet many people walk through life with heavy hearts, not because they are weak, but because they are holding on to things that are slowly harming them. When you hold on to what wounds you, the damage does not happen all at once. It happens gradually, quietly, day by day. At first, you tell yourself it is temporary. You say, I will be patient. Things will improve. I just need to endure a little longer. But while you wait, your inner peace begins to erode. Not loudly, not dramatically, but steadily. Inner peace is fragile. It is like a flame that requires protection. When you expose it constantly to emotional storms, neglect, or disrespect, it begins to flicker. You may still smile on the outside, still function, still fulfill responsibilities, but inside, you are exhausted. You overthink. You feel tense even during moments of rest. Your heart never truly settles. Holding on to what harms you teaches the heart to normalize pain. You begin to believe that discomfort is love, that anxiety is care, that being drained is devotion. Slowly, you stop recognizing peace when it comes near, because chaos has become familiar, and familiarity, even when painful, can be deceptive. Brothers and sisters, the heart sends signals, it tightens, it grows restless, it loses enthusiasm, it feels heavy without reason. These are not signs of ingratitude or weakness. These are warnings. Warnings that something you are holding on to is costing you more than it is giving. One of the greatest harms of holding on too long is that it changes who you are. You become irritable. You withdraw. You lose joy in things that once made you happy. Your prayers feel heavy. Your patience wears thin. And you begin to wonder what is wrong with you, without realizing that your heart is simply tired of being hurt. Inner peace cannot survive where the heart feels unsafe. Peace requires sincerity, respect, and emotional security. When those are absent, the soul remains on edge. Even moments of happiness feel temporary because the underlying pain never leaves. Sometimes people stay because they hope the harm will end. They believe that if they love harder, give more, sacrifice longer, things will eventually improve. But love that consistently endures the heart is not healing, it is draining. And patience that destroys peace is not virtuous, it is harmful. Holding on to what harms you also steals clarity. When pain becomes constant, you stop seeing situations clearly. You doubt yourself. You question your feelings. You minimize your suffering. You convince yourself that others have it worse, so you should remain silent. And in doing so, you betray your own heart. Let us understand this well. Peace is not selfish. Wanting calm is not weakness. Protecting your heart is not a lack of faith. In fact, it is an act of responsibility. You are accountable for the condition of your heart. You cannot pour goodness into the world if your inner world is collapsing. There comes a point where holding on does more damage than letting go. A point where the heart has endured enough. And ignoring that point does not make you noble, it makes you broken. True strength is recognizing when something is slowly killing your peace and choosing to step back. When you release what harms you, peace does not return instantly. Healing takes time. But the moment you stop the bleeding, recovery begins. The heart breathes again. The mind settles. The soul feels lighter. And slowly you remember what peace feels like. So do not ignore the erosion of your inner peace. Do not silence your heart to please others. Anything that repeatedly steals your calm, dims your joy, and burdens your soul is asking too much from you. Remember, peace is not found in holding on at all costs. Peace is found in honoring the heart enough to protect it. And sometimes the greatest act of self-respect is choosing peace over pain, even when letting go is difficult. My dear brothers and sisters, true strength is often misunderstood. Many think strength means forcing things to stay, holding on tighter when life begins to pull away, or refusing to accept loss. But real strength is far quieter than that. It lies in trusting that when something leaves your life, it is not always taking goodness with it, but often making space for something better. When something departs, the heart immediately feels the absence. The emptiness feels uncomfortable, even frightening. We are not afraid of loss alone. We are afraid of the unknown that follows it. And so we cling not because what we lost was perfect, but because it was familiar. Yet familiarity does not always mean it was good for us. Trusting that what leaves makes space for better requires faith in timing and wisdom beyond our understanding. It requires believing that not every door that closes is meant to be reopened. Some close so that you stop standing in the doorway hesitating and start walking forward. Often, what leaves was never meant to stay forever. It came to teach you something, to shape you, to awaken you. And once that lesson was complete, its departure became necessary for your growth. Holding on beyond that point only delays what is meant to come next. Brothers and sisters, space is essential for growth. Just as a crowded room feels suffocating, a life filled with unhealthy attachments leaves no room for peace, clarity, or new blessings. When something leaves, it clears emotional and spiritual space. Space for healing. Space for better relationships. Space for opportunities that require you to be free. But this trust is not easy. It asks you to believe while your heart still aches. It asks you to hope while your eyes still carry tears. It asks you to move forward without guarantees. And that in itself is strength. Sometimes we assume that if something left, it was our failure. We blame ourselves. We replay conversations. We wonder what we could have done differently. But not every ending is a reflection of your shortcomings. Some endings happen because you outgrew the situation. Some happen because you were being protected from further harm. True strength is not asking, why was this taken from me? But asking, what am I being prepared for? Because often, what you are about to receive requires the removal of what was occupying that space. When you trust in this way, you stop chasing what has already moved on. You stop begging for what no longer aligns with you. You release the need to control outcomes and allow life to unfold with wisdom. You understand that what truly belongs to you will not require constant struggle to keep. There are moments when losing something feels like the end of the world, only for you to look back later and realize it was the beginning of your peace. What once felt like heartbreak becomes clarity. What once felt like rejection becomes redirection. Strength also lies in patience after loss. You resist the urge to fill the emptiness immediately. You allow yourself to heal properly. You do not rush into replacements just to avoid feeling alone. You trust that what comes next will come at the right time, not out of desperation, but out of readiness. And when something better does arrive, you understand why what left could not stay. You see the contrast. You feel the ease. You experience a peace you did not know was possible before. And you realize that the space was necessary. Brothers and sisters, do not measure strength by how much pain you can tolerate. Measure it by how much trust you can carry. Trust that loss is not always punishment. Trust that endings are not always defeats. Trust that empty spaces are invitations for renewal. What leaves your life does not leave you empty, it leaves you open. Open to growth, open to healing, open to blessings that require space to enter. So walk forward with trust, hold your head high. Believe that your story is not defined by what ended, but by what is being prepared. Because true strength is not holding on forever, it is trusting enough to let go and make room for better. My dear brothers and sisters, many people believe that growth comes only through suffering. That pain itself is what transforms us. But pain alone does not cause growth. Awareness does. Choice does. Growth often begins at the exact moment you look at your pain and say, I will not allow this to define me anymore. That moment, when you choose yourself over pain, is not selfishness. It is wisdom. For a long time, we endure. We tolerate. We convince ourselves that staying strong means staying silent. We tell ourselves that if we just persevere a little longer, things will somehow change. But there comes a point where enduring pain no longer builds strength, it simply breaks the spirit. And growth does not come from being broken. It comes from being honest with yourself. Choosing yourself means acknowledging your limits. It means recognizing that your heart has carried enough. It means understanding that your well-being matters. Even if others do not understand your decision, this choice is not easy. It often comes with guilt, doubt, and fear. But it is also the moment where healing begins. Growth starts when you stop asking, why am I hurting? And begin asking, why am I allowing this to continue? That question requires courage. It forces you to confront patterns, attachments, and fears you may have avoided for a long time. And once you see clearly, you cannot remain the same. Brothers and sisters, pain has a voice. It speaks through exhaustion, anxiety, and loss of peace. Ignoring it does not make you patient, it makes you numb. Choosing yourself means listening to that voice, not to complain, but to learn. Pain shows you where boundaries are needed. It reveals where self-respect has been neglected. When you choose yourself, you stop pouring from an empty heart. You stop giving endlessly without receiving care in return. You stop explaining your worth to those who refuse to see it. And in doing so, you reclaim your energy. That energy becomes the foundation for growth. Growth also requires letting go of false beliefs. The belief that leaving means failing. The belief that rest is weakness. The belief that you must suffer to be worthy. These ideas keep people trapped in cycles of pain. But when you choose yourself, you challenge them. You realize that peace is not a reward you earn after suffering. It is a right you must protect. This choice does not make life suddenly easy. Healing is not instant. There are days when you miss what you left behind, even if it hurt you. There are moments of loneliness, uncertainty, and emotional withdrawal. But these moments are not signs that you made the wrong choice. They are signs that you are growing. Growth feels uncomfortable because it requires change. It asks you to step into unfamiliar spaces. It asks you to redefine yourself beyond your pain. And while pain may feel familiar, it should never feel permanent. Choosing yourself also teaches you responsibility. You realize that while you may not have caused the pain, you are responsible for how long you remain in it. This realization is not harsh, it is empowering. It gives you control. It reminds you that you are not powerless. And as you grow, something beautiful happens. Your standards change. Your tolerance for harm decreases. Your ability to say no improves. You begin to value peace more than approval. You stop chasing validation and start cultivating self-respect. You become calmer, clearer, and more grounded. People may not understand your growth. Some may accuse you of changing, but growth is change. And not everyone who benefited from your pain will celebrate your healing. That is why choosing yourself requires bravery. Brothers and sisters, choosing yourself does not mean you stop caring for others. It means you care enough about yourself to stop self-abandonment. It means you recognize that you cannot serve, love, or give sincerely if you are constantly wounded. So do not be afraid of the moment you choose yourself over pain. That moment is not the end of your compassionate. is the beginning of your strength. It is where healing takes root. It is where clarity emerges. It is where growth truly begins. Because when you choose yourself, you choose life with purpose, dignity, and peace.